Give me something to hold on, something I can feel. Let me crash to the floor, at least I'll know that it's real. Rock bottom is scary if you've never been before. 'Cause it's easy to lose yourself on the way down. Let me get to the part where I hit solid ground. If I know where I am, then I can start to heal. Give me something I can feel.
A visual description of what Kruti and Richa are wearing is Kruti is wearing a colorful floral dress. Richa is wearing a printed pink and peach dress. Kruti and Richa are sitting on a beige couch with gray pillows to their sides.
Welcome to Breaking Barriers with RK. Oh my God,
that
we're
was on
right on
sync.
time. I love that. Welcome back, everybody.
Yeah, thanks for joining us. And we are going to be talking about something that I think is very interesting, and many people with disabilities probably have to think about this, is with the relationships, specifically with love interest relationships.
Ooh.
So, Kruti, are you ready?
I'm on a hot seat right now.
Well, thank you for letting us do this and ask like really actually personal questions.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. I think it's important to just have a well-rounded conversation, right? I think in the past we all have been with us in our journey when we were talking about our vulnerability, high moments, moments where we were hitting our rock bottom. And I think it's important to kind of give a perspective on other things in life, because disability is such an intersection of so many other things that it's very important.
Yeah, and the relationships are so affected by the disabilities that we have.
Exactly.
This leads us into the question of, how has your hearing loss affected your relationships?
I felt like the relationship had kind of gone hand in hand with even my own journey that is evolving with embracing hearing loss. As I mentioned before, I was 3 years old when I was first diagnosed with hearing loss. But what really evolved is, how did I come in terms with my own hearing loss? And that had a lot of impact on how I was seeing myself in social interactions with my friends. And then usually when we talk about relationships, right, like organic romantic relationships usually happen. Two people become good friends and they start talking, and then they start, hitting it off. And, it's just like a natural way of getting attracted to each other and falling in love. And that is a relationship. Because my entire journey with hearing loss has been, in the beginning, it was really personal, meaning I was really on edge when sharing about hearing loss with somebody else. I felt that I was not really open talking about it right off the bat. Hey, by the way, kind of thing. There were two precise moments that I want to share. Okay. And again, I'm putting myself really out there, talking about these vulnerable moments. But coming from an Indian background, I think you would probably see this or appreciate this, that there are times when you're set up with somebody, right? Like there are times when somebody has said, oh, you should talk to a friend of mine. And then that is not an organic situation. So I was in that situation at that time. When I was talking to that person, I was kind of mentioning everything that was basic about me. Hey, I'm interested in doing so-and-so with my career, or I have this background or interest in music and dance. And, you're talking about everything. And at that time, I also mentioned, and this is like super early on, that I'm hard of hearing. And at that point, that person was like, wait. Oh, thanks for sharing, but you know what? We'll talk again. And then kind of just ghosted and felt that just because I put myself out there and was open and vulnerable, that other person's like, wait, I don't see eye to eye with this, and then just kind of took off. So then I was like, okay, maybe I should. Hard. It's so hard, Richa. It's so hard. It's like, but it's part of me, and I was just being honest. I was burned from that situation and learned that maybe I shouldn't talk about it. Maybe I shouldn't bring it up. And so then, really, fast forward to relationship 2, when I organically fell in love, and it was like, this attraction and like feeling butterflies in the stomach. But then it ended up being a long distance relationship. So I wasn't seeing that person as often. However, because I wasn't seeing that person that often, it wouldn't come up unless I say, hey, by the way, this happened. And so then time passed and I didn't bring it up. I was also burnt and, wanted to not bring it up, thinking, what if it affects my present relationship? And I did not want anything to go wrong. Then when I did, guess what? Also went into breakup because then this person felt like, why you didn't share this with me if this was such a big part of your life? So then I was like, doomed if I say it, doomed if I don't say it. Where do I go? It was such a tough situation. Like I remember not understanding how to process this.
I have had the good fortune of getting to know Kruti and her partner. They are wonderful together. We have so much fun. My partner and I just love hanging out with them. How did you share with your partner about your hearing loss?
I live 5 minutes from your house, and
bonus for me.
And the fact that we work out together, we spend so much time together, we go, we have dinner together, and I'm really fortunate to have such a good group of friends, and also super fortunate to have my spouse, who has been so supportive in every way. So let me talk about how we met. So we actually met online, and I felt like for us it was really important for both of us to kind of be really open and honest. And I felt that he was really vulnerable in the first place. And so then I felt that I had the safe space to also be myself. And so from the get-go.
He was breaking barriers.
From the get-go, right? Of course, there were other barriers. They just made it really easy for me to share, because when I shared about, how my dad passed away at a young age, I had, gone through relationship breakups at, at previous points in my life, and he shared about his life. It felt as though we had that mutual kind of bond where we knew that we were safe with each other, and that's how our love grew. That's how we felt that we had each other's back. And literally, when I said something about, hey, I'm hard of hearing, I was waiting for him to say, oh my God, that's a big deal. But he said, thanks for sharing with me. And thanks for, mentioning something that is so personal with me. And he actually took that as a moment of privilege and never kind of made me feel uncomfortable or laughed at me or anything like that. So, yeah. And, because of that, right off the bat, we were able to bring that into our conversation. Even partnership is all about interdependence. Even now, like if there are times when, at night, if I take my hearing aids off and I've gone to sleep, if one of the kids cries when we don't have the monitor, they just will tell me, I think Sanaya is, calling for you. And so that interdependence has really, the coexistence is just natural part of our lives. And there are things that I help him with, and there are things that he helps me with. And I feel like it's not a problem. If anything, it's like he's more and more supportive of this whole idea of lead with your disability identity. Like, it's okay for you to talk about disability so openly. Because if he was somebody who was judging that right off the bat, then I wouldn't be able to. And so that's why I'm really fortunate to have him.
That's good. That's amazing that you found him and he found you. You both found each other. They're great together. They're so fun and supportive, more than just fun. It's hard when somebody might say no because you shared such a personal thing and then you don't know when to share it again.
Relationships are tricky, right? Because I think when you're younger, you're still learning a lot about your own self, and you are also learning about the other person. And honestly, I'm not even, portraying the other person in a bad light. Like it's just meant to be. I think I'm really lucky that other relationships didn't work out, that now I'm with Tejas. It's just a perfect partner. Like, how did I get so lucky? At that point of time, maybe I was heartbroken. Maybe it was hard for me. But I think it also taught me a lot about life. And it also taught me a lot about what I want to have in my life partner. When you actually find that person no matter whatever stage of life that is in, it is what it's meant to be, and that was the case for me. It just clicks and works out.
Do you have any advice for someone who has a disability and when they should share with a partner or with somebody that they're interested in romantically?
You know, I feel like I dare not give any advice because I've already gone through, as I said, doom if I do, doom if we don't. Um, it is such a tough thing because I think if you see that the other person's mature enough to take on or even understand, also see their life and see how much of normalization of disability are they seeing in the other person's life, right? I do feel like being honest and vulnerable is good, but at the same time, if you are going on dates in first or second date, you don't necessarily have to bring it up if you don't feel comfortable. I think I really feel like it's all about feeling that person out, and then if you're at a safe space in your journey, in your relationship, that's when you can share. But again, every person is different, and so then it would be really up to that person, honestly.
Yeah. It's hard. It's something that just is life, right? You have to kind of live it and take those chances. And yes, being part of being vulnerable. One big part of the Indian culture is the part of like, yes, marriage, you have your partner, but then also you have the in-laws are part of the family. It's not like it's just you and your partner. How did you talk about it with your in-laws, and how has that relationship been formed?
As you mentioned, with families in Indian culture, is basically when two people get married, it's basically two families kind of getting married with each other. We really spend a lot of time together, and it's interesting, but also fun. It's so funny because Tejas had already, openly talked to his brother about, hey, I'm dating this girl who has hearing loss. Felt like it was not like a huge hurdle for me to cross. And funnily enough, my father-in-law, who had age-related hearing loss, also wears hearing aid. And because his family is progressive and really open to talking about, I guess disability, because, it's just part of normal human existence, that they've embraced as well. One of the funniest and the most favorite moment of my conversation with my in-laws, especially my father-in-law, is both of us checking out our hearing aid. Hey, I don't have the rechargeable one. How come you have that? I like that model. It's just pure joy, when I'm able to share all of that with them. They've embraced me as their daughter-in-law, or as their daughter, really, and I hadn't felt that there was a major hurdle or obstacle that I had to overcome. I got really lucky. That doesn't usually happen.
Yes, I think sharing a disability is not easy, and that's amazing that when your in-laws can also love you for your whole self. Thank you for sharing, Kruti, and I think it's hard to navigate for anyone who has a disability. Like, it's relationships. I think it's like a story for each person, and finding your person is a journey in itself.
Yeah.
And we hope that this conversation continues outside of just this, as we've been saying, in the workspace, at home. Please continue these conversations and making these safe spaces.
Yeah.
And in the next episode, Kruti will be interviewing me on my relationship.
Sounds great.
Thank you to Mandy Harvey for giving us permission to use her song Something I Can Feel in our intro.